Humans have always been drawn to tribes. We love tribes, and we eternally seek to return to their loving embrace at the end of the day. We've got tribal tattoos, tribes, aerial assault, a tribe called Quest, and most recently, Dead by Daylight discourse it's gotten even more tribalist. Survivors and killers hate each other so goddamn much. And I've been really wanting to talk about it since the start of this channel. Well, okay. To get a little bit more into that, I've had several ideas on what to commentate on since I started making crappy Dead by Daylight YouTube videos a little over a month ago. And every single time the entire process falls apart because during research, I just can't keep my finger on the pulse of this community. I am a classic both sideser. I love to play Survivor and I love to play Killer, and I constantly feel like I'm having to preface every single opinion I have on this video game with that fact, lest I be labeled as some kind of super biased spy. And I'm just going to go for it here anyway, because I have a lot of thoughts and I've been kind of struggling to find the voice to get any of them out there. I think I really started to form the basic narrative around the time the recent syringe discourse started. Popular content creator and German ping-haver Hens333 made a single tweet about syringes being kinda broken, prior to making a video where he popped them mid-chase a bunch to see how the killer community at large felt about it. And this caused a lot of people to get really seriously angry online, flipped the discourse on its head violently, and made many an asshole very, very itchy. I actually wanted to make a video talking about that myself. I was prepared to talk about how even though a lot of the most extreme examples of abuse regarding items, add-ons, perks, perk combos, etc. are done by professional players that play with much more efficiency and skill than the average, they can still prove a point about something being too strong, even in the hands of the average player, who is also slowly getting better across the board the longer that this game exists. But then, reading comments on other videos about it, seeing the discourse on Twitter and Reddit and forums, I just kind of realized that none of that shit matters. You could formulate the best argument for why certain situations are ridiculous balance-wise for one side or another, and it just would not matter to a particular type of player. Some people just aren't interested in litigation, fairness, game health, fun, the fact that I cry when 3 generators are done in less than 3 minutes, or that I also cry when the killer is doing a 4-man slugger rap marathon and I have to scroll TikTok or something while my teammates search for me because knockout is a thing. And all of this has just caused me to arrive at one very important but also very simple question. Why it like that, though? Let's pivot away from yapping about survivors and their end of the war and look at killers and the persecution complexes that Dead by Daylight causes them to develop. You'll see even more examples of how we struggle to agree on just about anything as a community. Recently, a whole lot of discourse has been dedicated to the whole knockout slug solo queue thing. It's miserable to play solo queue whenever the killer is running a build like this because you basically are just doomed to be repeatedly sitting. Even if your team kind of makes a play, it's going to be a miserable game. The only thing that really counters it is being in a swift. The perk actually kind of sucks because honestly it doesn't really do anything against the highest level of play. It just is a solo queue stomper build. But regardless, in the 8.6 update, behavior is gonna fix that issue. And for some reason, a lot of people have some ire about it. Their ideas. What about Gen Rush? What about Second Chance perk? They're completely disregarding the fact that this perk is genuinely going to be better. For once, I have to actually say behavior is actually kind of buffing a perk on the killer end to stop a terrible play style. None of that matters to this particular type of person. The only thing they see is survivors complained about a thing, and now mechanic change for killer. And that's it. That's all they need to hear. The mending update's another thing. 2 seconds on altruistic mending speed and self-mending speed. Minus 2 seconds. That's it. And this is also being accompanied by a Legion buff. A pretty decent Legion buff. Because they're the only killer that's really actually affected by this, you know? Deathslinger, may I remind you, they have a gun. Even on its worst days, it's still a goddamn gun that reels people to him. So, you know, Legion doesn't have that. So that's why Legion gets this awesome buff. But this buff is a net positive for all Legion players. I look forward to more Legions actually taking full chases, you know, chances on that rather than just constantly playing hit and run. They're giving Legion something to compensate, and it's actually something quite decent. It'll make a huge difference. But All some people saw was survivor complaint addressed, and then they get pissed the fuck off and they start talking about like gen rushing and the last 5 killer perks that got nerfed and how unfair it is, how killers have to push the boulder up the hill every single day. And you know, yada yada yada. I got teabagged at the exit gates, just leave, blah blah blah. I'm so sad. Every time I try to play killer, I have a mini heart attack. Like, God. Anyway, inordinate amounts of time are dedicated to whataboutism in the DBD community. And I'm not even trying to sit here and harp on that or the validity of any argument for too long here, because all of that is just a distraction from the real issue. People that favor one side or another can often barely hide their absolute disdain for the other end of the game. Months ago, I played against this super slugger rat singularity that was a Twitch streamer. The entire game, I was really mad. Super incredibly down in the dumps, ass blasted about this killer slugging us all to death with a knockout build. And while I was seething and coping and lying in a puddle of my own blood and tears, I succumbed to the bleed out while my team was still trying to make it. And wiping the sweat from my brow and the tears from my eyes, I could make out that the killer was a TTV in the lobby. And when I went to his stream to see what kind of a monster would do this to me and my solo queue teammates, I saw a pretty nice guy. Just chilling, having a good time, had good energy with his chat. He was actually pretty funny, and he was really kind of just doing this build because it was something different that he kind of liked doing. This isn't really me saying I've changed my mind on the playstyle or anything now. I'm never gonna like it. But the guy was nice at the end of the day. I didn't go into his chat to say anything super mean to him. You know, I never see any point in doing anything like that. I just wanted to see it from his end. But I did end up saying something. I ended up saying GG's and left after a bit to queue again because he was nice and kind of funny. And that really got me thinking. I mean, it got me thinking about the person on the other end of that lobby. Not that I had never done that before, but it's super easy to lose track of that in a DBD match. Not everyone engaging in something is a horrible monster. Actually, most people playing this game are just playing it without thinking about any of that shit too deeply. The other day, I actually played against a Bubba who wasn't quite enjoying employing the knockout strat. He actually hooked us some, but it did become clear that towards the end game, he was slugging us in a boiling pot kind of way where we were slowly getting cooked. I called him a freak jokingly in the endgame chat and I asked him why. He said he was bored, and I said, fair enough. GG's, well played. Good luck in your next, buddy. And that, in my opinion, is what discourse in this game should be a little bit more like. You know, you don't have to like what's happening to you. The items that you bring as survivor, I don't have to like that. I don't have to like the killer. I don't have to like your playstyle. I don't have to like gens flying by when I'm playing killer. I don't have to like my teammates getting tunneled. I don't have to like getting tunneled. I don't have to like 3 gens, etc., etc., etc. You don't have to like whatever I'm doing either. But we don't have to like loathe each other over it. We don't have to like go to Twitter and talk about how the other person is like a terrible human being, you know? It's just a little complaint. You talk a little smack, you know, like I did. I said he was a freak, LOL. I put the LOL in there to make sure he knew I was kind of messing around, just joking. And he laughed. We both had a laugh about it, you know? It was fun. It was funny. It was a funny little, hey, fuck you, man. Yeah, fuck you, dude. Yeah, it was all you had to do. You know, it was fine. And that's the thing, really. The DBD community is in this eternal state of BEC syndrome. You might be asking, what is BEC syndrome? And that's okay if you don't know. I was confused when my friend on WoW Classic first explained what it meant to me herself, but BEC stands for bitch eating crackers. You know, someone that you hate so much that they could be doing literally anything, even eating a sleeve of crackers across the room from you, and you'd find a way to hate them for it. You know, just look at that bitch over there, eating crackers, like a fucking bitch, shaking my head. A survivor could just be doing a simple loop, trying to make it, maybe having a little fun because making the right reads in chase is fun, and they get like tunneled out or slugged or hit on hook and camped over it because certain types of killer players see playing well against them as an absolute disrespect. A killer player on the flip side, could be playing an 8-hook perkless trapper with no add-ons as God intended, and certain Survivor players would spend the entire match seething, and it would probably even be madder to see that they were outplayed by vanilla ice cream with no cone. Why are we like this though? The health update, in my opinion, is an opportunity for this game to see some of the best QOL changes for both sides that we've seen since 2022's meta shakeup and killer base kit buffs, or the Survivor HUD update. And some people are already lamenting what their side might lose in the coming months. Personally, I'm looking forward to being able to turn my gamma up slightly, spend bulk blood points all at once, and not have Survivor spawn in 4 corners on Ormond every other game. I think survivors and killers being able to surrender to escape certain scenarios is a net positive, and ultimately, I do think most players in the game are going to be fine with all of this stuff too. People complain, people will lament what's gone, and enthusiasts will freak out about it, but at the end of the day, most people are just going to stick around, keep playing, adapt, and have a good time. I actually think DBD is a lot healthier today than it used to be, outside of the whole Go Next epidemic, which I actually have neglected to bring up in this rant so far, but it's really just a symptom of the same disease, and the same health patches are striving to address that as well. As it should, because if that's the way you play, you should probably take a fucking break. I've also noticed that it does still happen, but less of my games are actually being plagued by it recently. And, you know, I was thinking that maybe a part of this actually reflects my own journey. Like, when I first picked this game up, I mostly queued up to play Killer. My first 800 or so hours of this game were pretty much entirely spent on learning Killers, with the occasional breaks to play Survivor here and there where I'd get curb stomped into an early grave due to skill issues. Eventually, I started to solo queue more, I improved my gameplay, not totally, as you can see in my many other videos, but now, I try to see it from both ends. I'm not perfect, as I stated, I'm fully capable of getting ass blasted at my own fuck-ups, certain playstyles, and the existence of the trickster, but it's not worth hating other people. You take the things you hate with the things that you love in multiplayer games. You'll learn to live with it even though you feel a particular way. Just be mature about it, you know? We all deserve a healthier game at the end of the day, and maybe in an environment where more people are mature about this, we could actually feel better about playing out DBD matches. I'd actually like to see this game become a little bit healthier for the mental health of those playing it as we move forward together. For my sake, yours, and even that of Trickster players. But honestly, these are just my cobbled up thoughts on this whole us versus them thing. I don't think that my tiny ass literally who channel is actually going to address it in a meaningful way. I just wanted to put this out there. I've been wanting to make a video where I actually talk about something, but every single time I just end up coming down to this topic. People hate each other. They have no empathy, it feels like, for one side or another. And I'm not saying that you have to be super duper understanding of the killer that's slugging everyone on your team. I'm not saying that you have to be really enthusiastically happy about it. I'm not saying that you have to be thrilled about being outplayed. You're allowed to complain, you're allowed to get annoyed, but don't take it out on the whole side. Don't take it out on the person. Just get mad, get over it, and move on, man. Like, God, I don't know what this game... People take it so seriously. I don't know. Anyway. GG's, well played, and good luck in your next. Subscribe if you enjoy my content, and please, let me know what you're thinking. I really would appreciate your feedback and your thoughts on my thoughts. Peace.